So I want you to look at this scene. And now I want you to look at this scene, but without music again. Quite a difference, isn't it? In today's video, I don't want to talk about a specific game. I don't want to review any franchise. Today I want to speak about a topic that for me is one of the most underrated aspects of video games in general. You know, when somebody reviews a video game, most of the time they talk about the story, they talk about the gameplay, which are very valuable points. However, extremely rarely do they even mention the soundtrack of the game. And when I review a game, in almost every playthrough, I at least try to mention a little bit how good or bad the soundtrack was and how impactful it was in producing emotions in us players. And in my opinion, soundtracks are kind of unsung heroes in video games. You know, people a lot of times talk about how great the story was and how memorable the game was, but they rarely talk about the soundtracks. But in my opinion, that aspect of how memorable a game is can really be made or broken if the soundtrack is good or bad. So as you already noticed in that scene that I showed you in the beginning, with and without music, video game soundtracks are more than just tunes playing in the background of a video game. They're a proper part of the whole game, and the biggest thing that they do, and one of the most important things in gaming that they accomplish, is that they enhance the emotions that we players feel. Because if you think about any game out there, let's say your favorite game, think about the most memorable moments, and I can guarantee you that a big part why those moments are so memorable for you is the music in the background. Like, I thought about that a lot in the last couple of days. I mean, think about one of the first scenes from Assassin's Creed 2.
It is a good life we lead, brother.
The best may never change.
And may it never change us.
And I thought to myself, like, it's completely true. If this moment was enhanced with, you know, normal general music and not with Ezio's Family, one of the greatest musical titles in gaming history, this would have been a great scene, but not in almost every top 5 Assassin's Creed 2 scenes like it is today. And another big aspect that soundtracks create is the atmosphere of the game. And when I think about that topic, I immediately think about The Witcher 1. Because now, while The Witcher 1 definitely has its flaws when it comes to the graphics and the gameplay or the combat, I was always very emotionally engaged with The Witcher 1. And it's one of my favorite games to replay, even after replaying it 4 or 5 times already. And while creating this video, I realized that a big aspect of that were the soundtracks of the game. Because even in my free time, when going somewhere or when driving somewhere, I sometimes listen to those video game soundtracks and I notice how much emotionally engaged I get just by listening to them. And no, obviously, while you play a video game, listening to soundtracks isn't your main task. You obviously play the game and the soundtracks run in the background. But when you consciously think about it, it's really incredible how much of a difference they make. And a well-crafted soundtrack can really elevate the atmosphere so that we ourselves feel like we are right there in the world of the game. And it doesn't matter whether you're playing a horror game or an epic adventure, the immersion and the atmosphere that those games create is heavily decided by how good the soundtrack is. I mean, there even is some video on YouTube where a guy put SpongeBob music under a horror game scene, and the scene itself was not scary at all, but when enhanced with proper scary music, the viewers almost shit their pants. And moreover, what soundtracks are able to create is the enhanced storytelling. I mean, I want you to picture this. If you have played The Witcher 3, you remember the scene where Geralt and Ciri first reunite. And now think about that same scene without any music. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, video game soundtracks often act as a silent narrator, which obviously enhances the emotional impact of the narrative. And you can find that in every game there is. The next time when you play a game and you really get those goosebumps and you're so emotionally engaged into a scene, I want you to consciously think about the music at that moment, and you yourself will realize very quickly how much of a difference it makes. And so when we play a game or review a game, we most often don't even think about the composers of the soundtracks. And when you think about movies, like everybody knows Hans Zimmer, everybody knows John Williams, and they're recognized all over the world. But when it comes to video games, we almost never know the name of the composer, which is kind of sad. And in my opinion, the composers get way less recognition than they really deserve, and the soundtracks they make are very often quite underappreciated. So that was a topic in today's video that I wanted to talk about for quite some time now. Because when playing a game, I really notice how important soundtracks are. And obviously that can be because I played instruments for over 15 years now, but I still think that players and reviewers also should really take a closer look at the soundtracks of games. And now I want to hear from you guys. Do you have any scenes that you think about where you're like, okay, actually when I think from that perspective, this makes a lot of sense, and the scenes are as memorable as they are because of the soundtracks behind those scenes were such masterpieces. So just a small topic where I would like to see more recognition in the future. And by the way, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is coming out next week, so feel free to subscribe to the channel because I'll be reviewing that game as well. And I'm almost done with Far Cry 6, so I'll be ranking all of the open worlds, all the settings, all the games of Far Cry in the near future. Alright guys, that was it from me in today's video. I hope you all have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.